Is it in there? We're going to put a wet coat of our warm white from underneath his cheek line. If you end up in the cheek line, it's no big deal because you'll come back with your cheek after. It's hard to see where the paint is because you're already going over that.
Well, we can take our thing off the pattern off now, right? Sorry.
Now I'm going to pick up some of the mix that we made, and we're going to come underneath, and I want it to blend into the wet paint. Coming all the way down, you're following your photo. And all the way down along the bottom. We're going to do this on both birds. I'm going to pick up a little of my warm white to blend into it. I want to see this brown, but I'm not looking for it to be a dark trimmed outline by any means. There, I'm going to still pick up a tiny more with the dirty brush and just strengthen the edges. Clean my brush. I'm going to pick up white. And I'm going to come from the middle. Now this isn't the warm white, it's white. And it's blending in to the warm white and the brown. So you can see those little fine lines throughout of the brown. And a little stronger in the white for the middle. If you need more warm white blended into it, pick it up. That's not too bad for me. So that's what I'm going to do to both bellies at this point. So what we're doing is I'm going to wet coat the brown section for his face. So that's wet. Now I'm taking my liner and I'm going to pull some of our bittersweet toned mix coming along the back, and I'm just using my liner to streak this, and from the front of the beak, and we'll just streak in some dark. It's hard to really see that it's changing anything at this point, but it is. And then I'm going to take a little black and darken some of the, sort of like to make a black brown almost. And then I will come and not pull as far, but it's like a second shading, right? So we're just streaking some of those from the back to the front. You see how I'll pull both ways? Wipe my brush. I'm going to take and I'm going to mix a little bit of warm white and our bittersweet mix. Warm white. Yeah, warm white and our bittersweet brown mix. Now that I've got black all in it all. And I'm going to have a few, this is our highlight on the forehead. I'd like that to be a little wetter, so I'm going to put a bit more brown into it. There, a little wetter. How's that sounding?
Well, that's right. Something's wetter.
Okay. And a couple of lighter. So do you see how that gives him the look that there's a bit of a highlight there? So you're really wet coating it in brown, streaking some of the bittersweet in, and then going to some black brown, and then your highlight. For the wings, we're going to wet coat, and I'm using my regular flat 1/4 inch brush because I want to have nice sharp lines for the wings. So I've wet coat, and now I'm going to pick up the color that I made to be a black brown, and I'm going to chisel wing markings in. We want to have them fairly dark. I'm going to bring a couple back from the top as well. Then I'm going to wipe my brush. I'm going to repeat for the other side. So wet coat my wing. Pick up the black-brown mix. I'll bring a few from the top and chisel coming from the bottom. Now I'm going to wipe again, and I'm going to take a little of the bittersweet and some warm white and just kind of brush mix that on the palette, and then come from the end. So we're going to bring off the end. I could have a bit more brown in that mix there. Yeah, that looks nicer. I still want it to be light. But now I'll have to bring another, wipe my brush. I kind of overcrowded that one. So we'll bring like so, and I'll repeat over on this side. So what's happened in between is it's allowed us to have a little bit of time to dry there, which is good. And it's coming from the end of the wing. Now I over-browned it. I got no happy medium. Coming from the end of the wing. You can even come from off of the edge of the wing. But we're giving those little feathers right from the edge. They're the highlights on our feathers. All right? That's our mission. So what we're doing is we're going to take and using the liner, put some of the brown in. Then we go into our bittersweet brown and pull a few little marks in. Now, our eye's going to kind of fade as we do this. We're going to see it but not see it. We will touch him back up. Now, we're going to be having a lot of little white feathery marks coming in, and we will, after, maybe pull a few of the dark. I'm now going into the black-brown and pulling into this.
And that's just on the brown.
Yeah, right at this point, it's just on the brown. The white kind of overtakes it. So now I take warm white, and I'm going to dip into both. And I'm going to pull from there. And we're going to pull backwards here. Does that make sense?
Now you're going on the white.
Yes, I'm on the white now.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're on the brown where the pupil is before, and now you're on the white. Okay.
So now on the white, I've pulled along the top into the brown. Now I'm going to pull from the white into the brown the opposite way. So do you see that it creates the look that the brown's going up, right? So I pull down, I pull up. On the top, it's upwards. On the bottom, it's that way. Same thing here. We're gonna, it's bigger. We've got a bigger section to work with. And we end up coming right up into the, what do you call it there? Like this becomes very little. I'm shaping that section on my eye. Pick up my white. And you see we'll pull them right down. We're going to feather that. It gets quite white here. that's where it was difficult to see what was the cheek when we're base coating and what was the belly. So most people kind of just went into the belly. So this I want to create quite small as well. You see how I'm tapering that down to give it a tiny little marking at the end? So it's just making it a little skinnier. It's too big. So white in here. We want this to become white. And just little fine featheries off the end there. He's got a fat little cheek, and that little cheek even feathers right onto the top of his wing.
And then it makes it really tough.
There. Okay, that's what I want you to do right now. So I've retouched up my eyeball, got him in place, and I'm now going to take, and I've thinned it a little bit, my bittersweet mix, and you see that I'm going to go above the eye. And like I say, I've thinned it a little bit so that I can give him
The black brown goes into the white.
Yeah, and now I just want to pull a few longer ones there. Now, I want to be able to come under the eye with a little tiny bit of a white highlight or feathering. So you can see all this very well in your photo. Clean my brush. I'm going to go into my white. And this is under the eye. So I'm going to come along, a little bit of a press. I'm going to put, while I'm into this white, I'll go ahead and I'll put my little highlight up on the top of the eye. Whoops. And then there's brown. On the black. So it's brown on the black. So we put white up in here and brown we pulled up. If you feel that you want to pull a few white down, whatever you're feeling it's missing. I feel like I can see too much warm white on my bottom section, so I'm just going to pull in a few more white feathery marks because I can not see white at all. I'm just seeing the warm white. So that's pretty nice looking for his eye. Do you see how it's a little more feathery? The other one has a little more white pulled back into it. It's whatever. It does not have to be exactly like that one, but you can see it pretty good in your photos. So I've got the mix that I made for the bottom of our beak. So I'm going to just kind of clean up my edges because now by the time we've done our fur, we kind of entered the beak zone. So I put a wet coat on there, and then I'm going to take and come from the end of the beak inwards with Dijon. So it's just with Dijon we highlight into that yucky color.
Okay.
So it becomes, it actually kind of shades itself. Okay. Then I'm going to take Dijon, do the top of his beak, with the plain Dijon, and I'm going to take, I'm grabbing warm white. I don't think it really matters which one you come with. And I'm going to streak that coming from the top of the beak back as a highlight. I could put a bit more Dijon coming back. I kind of choked it all out. And then we put a black brown, or black, won't matter either, line through the middle of the beak to separate our sections. So that's our highlighting on the top of the beak. I'm going to add a little more of the warm white on there now that I look at it. I'm just going to try not to bring it all the way back. So along here, there. And it's working into the wet paint, so you'll do your two beaks separately. Okay? Yeah, you can do the two bottoms. Okay, so I've double loaded my flat with turquoise and sky blue. And with the dark down and the light up, I'll blend the hat. So the light's along the top, light being sky blue. I'm going to reload. And now we want to create the flip to the hat. Just make sure I'm under there. So the light is going to go down and the dark is out. So it's creating that fold where the hat folds over. I'll wipe my brush, and I'm now going to pick up turquoise and our light mix that we made for our brim, the 2 white, 1 sky blue. So I've got the colors that were on my brim, the light base coat color from my brim, and our dark color. Dark down, light up. And I want to blend that in. If you go off your edge, you'll come back and clean that up after. We use a knife, a little X-Acto knife, or you can use a straight pin or anything like that. I've gone over the wing, I'll just touch that back up again. So I've blended my brim and the top of my hat. All right. Okay. We're going to take and we're going to use turquoise. And on the purple hat, of course, I'll use
just
the purple.
The regular turquoise. No mixing.
Correct. And that's just going to be a stripe along the top of the hat. Now, we have mixed black into, just a little bit of black into the turquoise. And I've done the same with the purple for the purple hat. And we're going to shade on our hat.
Okay, on the outside?
Along the top there.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come along
Shade on the bottom.
on the bottom of my brim. Nice and soft. I'm going to shade along the back of the hat. And hopefully it's dry enough for me to come here. Then I'll just continue that up here. So that has created a shadow. If I want to go back and strengthen it, I can. What I don't have in here is, I forgot to write. I'm going to take my light mix and I'm going to float a highlight along here on my hat. Just pat that a little bit. I don't want it quite as wide as it is. And while I'm there, I've over shaded, so I'll just bring some of that here. This is the color that this was. I'm not lightening it at all.
Okay.
I'm going to start to do the pom-pom with my light mix color. And they're never the same size. I'm using my Deerfoot. I'm going to wipe my brush. I'm going to pick up the turquoise. And I'm going to darken the bottom of the pom-pom.
Okay.
Wipe my brush, pick up a bit of white, and highlight the top. So we're doing the very same thing on the purple with the purples. Now, before we go away, we may as well go into the snow. So it's just white with your Deerfoot. I grabbed a second Deerfoot. And uneven, stipple in a bit of snow that he's perched in. This is so we don't have to do feet.
Oh, that's good.
All those in favor? Yay,
Yeah.
stipple snow. Now, I can take a little bit of, I do have somewhere a gray, they have a gray, but
Yeah.
I'm just going to grab some white with my black, and because I'm too lazy to get it out, but I do have a gray, and I'll stipple a little of the gray through here, wipe the brush, and then come back on top with white here and there. So this just gives us a little bit of dimension, that's all. If you don't have the gray or you don't want the gray, it's not a big deal. All right, so there's our snow.
Okay.